Hello. How is everybody?
Harriet, we've missed you.
We have.
Where have you been? What have you been doing? Tell us.
You know, darling, I've just been in a frenzy of touring with Steel Magnolias.
Yes.
Wonderful. I saw you actually the other day on breakfast telly. Your face.
Oh.
I know. I didn't speak, but my face was there.
Yes. I know that
a lot
face.
of money. I paid them a lot of money. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. And hi Nat. Hi Nat again. That's lovely to see you. Nat.
Yes. So Harriet, I'm sorry I didn't get to see you. We didn't get to see you, but I was working in the day and working at night, and I just brain.
I know, dear. But there's no escape.
Whereabouts are you? Could we possibly get to see you?
Well,
yes.
This week I'm in glorious Salford, and then next week I'm in beautiful Brighton, and then I'm all over the shop. And I will be coming to High Wycombe, so there probably is no escape, Debbie.
No, High Wycombe is good. Yes,
it is good. It's down the road.
We'll definitely come to that one.
We'll do that, definitely.
Yeah.
And
we'll bring the McHales with us.
Yes.
Yes, because they live up the road.
Great idea.
No excuses.
No excuses. And when is that, Harriet?
Oh, please don't ask me, darling. I don't know. I think it's mid-March. I can only cope with the week. I just know this week is Salford. Yes. Can't wait. Adore Manchester. So it'll be fabulous. So yeah.
Yes, day by day, darling. Take it day by day.
That's all I can do, dear. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
So Natalie, what have you been up to the last few days?
What have I been up to? Well, I've been spending rather a lot of time with you at the mill at Sonning.
I think we better tell everybody that we are now betrothed, aren't we?
Yeah, I know.
Starting these rumours.
You have multiple marriages.
Oh.
No, every weekend we're staying at the mill. There's no reason to stay there, but we have booked into a hotel every weekend. So it feels like an away day. It's so much fun. It's great. So I identify as lazy.
Yes. And I actually identify as a multimillionaires.
You do?
Yes.
We're a very good combination.
I'm way behind you on that.
Dee, I think we need to get matron in. I don't think they're taking their pills.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring the guest in quickly.
I think she might be also taking the pills as well. It's the gorgeous Debbie McGee.
Oh,
yay! There she is.
You look gorgeous.
Yeah,
thank you. Really do.
And she's sitting on my favourite sofa.
Great so. Hi, Debbie.
Hello. Lovely to see you, Natalie.
You too.
So, darling, Natalie is going to start. She has a very interesting question to ask you.
Oh no, I just want to know all about this amazing auction that I've been hearing about. Tell me all about your auction.
Well, Paul, obviously over the years had mostly collected lots of books and posters, but of course all tricks and everything else, which were, stored in a great big shed in my garden. And I mean, a big shed. And when he first started, I couldn't even go in the shed for 2 years. I mean, it was all heated and everything. And then I got to a point where I think, well, I can't just hold on to all of this. What shall I do with it? And it's his legacy. So there was too many things to kind of just sell off a bit here, a bit there. And I'd given his boys some things of what they wanted, and his grandson and my nephew and other family members. So an auction seemed to be the right thing to do. And I knew the auctioneer, Thomas Forrester, because he's done loads of the programs on auctioneering. And we'd done a bargain hunt together, and I'd had him on my radio show a few times. So we kind of had a friendship. So I had a meeting with Thomas and a chat about it. And it took about a year to put it all together by the time we sorted it all out. And then I did all the cataloguing. My sister came in and helped quite a bit, which took forever, especially the books. Because you have to, is it a first edition? What year? What condition? Describe it, all of that. So it takes a long time. But then the auction happened. And 2 days before I started rehearsals for Panto, of course, it all gone when the rehearsals began.
Fabulous. And Debbie, with the actual auction, there were so many things I know that you had, but how did you get that out to people? Because there's a lot of people who are collectors of magic. I know with my mum, she did a whole thing about Thunderbirds, etc., with an auction. She donated a lot to breast cancer care. But I mean, with you, how did you get that out? Did you have to publicize it? Because I
Yeah.
heard about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we brought in a really good PR girl, and she was amazing. But she did say it was easy, that everybody she phoned said yes.
Yeah.
So that was lovely, wasn't it? And then, of course, in the magic world, there are e-magazines that I know all the people that run them, particularly in America. So we just emailed all of them, and they all did pieces on it and got the word out. And you know, I don't know how, I have never counted how many pieces there were in total, but there was 360 posters alone.
Wow.
So that was the whole of the first day.
Wow.
And then with the books, we kind of, because there were so many, some lots were like 20 books or 10 books, some were 40, others that were really valuable were just single books. But you know, then so we probably had close to 1,000 items to sell, and everything sold. So
was there one thing that was most popular, darling? Was there one thing that was, you know, a sort of highlight for people?
Well, actually all the posters and the books, because even the collectors, that's a big thing, but the magicians want to collect them. And then there was a young guy in Newcastle who has got a shop and has always been a big fan of Paul's. And he bought loads of stuff, you know, he spent a fortune, thousands, literally.
Wow.
Loads of tricks and illusions. And then I got an email last week from a guy. My favorite thing, my favorite illusion that we ever did was an illusion called geometrics. And the chap that bought it actually is a person that makes illusions for people, very high quality ones, and bought it and has refurbished it. And he's asked me now if we can sell it as a brand, and that he can
brilliant.
it
Wow.
in an updated way, which I love. Yeah.
What is the illusion?
Wonderful.
So it's, you know, it's a tall box that I got put in, and the door opens, obviously, and then it's geometrics, because there's a square cylinder that gets put through there, a round one, and a triangle in the bottom. So that's where is there room for Debbie. But then there's swords that have all got either baubles, a square, or triangle, or, you know, pyramid, that get put in all over it through the sides, and it gets turned round. And, you know, I can't possibly be in there. And one of the reasons I loved it is because for the TV shows, you know, if we were lucky with the illusions, we got them on the Monday, and we were in studios on Fridays and Saturdays. So you had 4 days, and that wasn't the only thing in the show. So you didn't get to rehearse all day on it. But sometimes, I mean, some of them we got on the Friday in studio. And in any break I had, I was behind the psych trying to work it out. And Paul would tell me how it worked, or one of the consultants would be there and help me. But I had to work a way of doing it. And then on the Friday, Paul and I would do it for the first time for the tech run. And then you get one run through Saturday morning, the dress run Saturday afternoon, and that would be it. But with geometrics, we didn't get it early. But Paul's father remade it, because it was one of the only tricks we bought in from America, but it didn't look like it looked in the picture. So it didn't look that great. You could see where the girl could be. So Paul changed the method and then got his dad to completely remake it around my body. And then we did it on the TV show twice, which there weren't many things we ever did twice over, you know, the 15 years we did it. And then it was one that we do, but we did it for a private party that was all celebrities, and Frankie Vaughan was in the front row. I remember, if you remember Frankie Vaughan,
He was
of
my
an age that
godfather.
we do. And
Totally.
Frankie and Stella always laughed afterwards, because Paul and I, it was a friend's birthday party, you know, in some posh club in Mayfair. We said, and he said, will you do something? And we said, what have we got, you know, that's not in our warehouse up north that we can just get out? So it was geometrics, but we hadn't performed it for probably 5 years or something. And so we just did it. We didn't even rehearse it, you know. And so we were talking to each other through it, and Frankie and Stella could hear us. And I was going, no, not there. And but through with the twice on the TV show, we also took it on tour, and we did it for some corporate things. So we were able, and you know what it's like when you're acting, you know, you change even after the opening night, you relax into the role and it changes. And that's the same with any performance. So this trick we really honed, and I found that I could do things with it that when we did it on TV, I couldn't do, which made it a much better trick and quite comical, which it wasn't, because I could push swords out. And if Paul was bending over, I could see him without giving anything away. And I would push a sword out that, you know, pricked him in the bottom. So yeah, you know, I'm really pleased that somebody that's really appreciated it has, for months since the auction, has thought about how he could modernize the way it looks. So he's curved it instead of the corners being square, and painted it with a obviously grey and silver, which is more of today, and ours was bright blue. And he's going to put it out there with Paul's name on it. So it's fabulous.
Fabulous.
But
Oh, isn't that fabulous?
Did you ever have anxiety doing all those magic tricks? Because it is magic, obviously, it's not a trick. It's all magic. But did you ever have anxiety? What does it feel like when you're going through all that? Is it, especially when you can't be seen or things like that?
I think, Harriet, I think you'd be the same. When you know what you're doing, you don't get nervous. And unfortunately, the nature of TV, it's not like doing a theatre show and you get a few weeks rehearsals.
Yes.
Because it was always on the spot. And, you know, we'd do 6 tricks in a show. I mean, the pressure was much more on Paul. But so in the TV shows, I did get nervous and learn how to control them. And Paul just didn't. I mean, sometimes Paul did tricks that he'd done once, and there might be a close-up thing at a bar area or something. He just had this, he loved what he did, and he kind of, it wasn't that he didn't care if it went wrong, but he had the confidence to know that if it did, he knew how to cover it up or make it funny and things like that. Where, with me, and also because we didn't work to a script, because Paul just loved winging everything. It was one of the reasons I kind of stayed his assistant, was because he said I had good timing and I could feel what he wanted. So even in the theatre shows, I'd be waiting in the wings. I had no idea when really I should go on, because he would chat and I'd have to feel when it was coming to a point that that's when I needed to come on to do something. And I kind of learnt that through the TV shows. Because
can you ever remember something going horribly wrong and not being able to get out of it? There are lots of people watching.
Right. The thing is with Paul, Natalie, he would sit, you know, when we were doing the TV shows, it was kind of months of preparation. Once we started rehearsals, he would sit if we were at home or driving there in the car, I lost my husband for those few months, because Paul's brain would be working out every single trick, what could go wrong, and how he would then turn it into something else so the audience would never know. Right. That's what was so amazing about him. So the only things that ever went wrong was a trick that the special effects hadn't finished building the illusion we needed that week. So we had something in standby that was a stock bought trick from America. So when we got it into the rehearsal room, Paul said, well, we can't just do it like that, because every magician in the world can just do it like that. So we're going to put I went in quite a small box, like 2/3 of my size, with 2 things that went through it that he could put lit torches through, which wasn't in the original instructions. So it worked, you know, he just decided that on the afternoon. So we did it. We'd never done it with the lit torches, and the inside of the box was plastic, and it didn't set a light, but an ember came inside, so it was smoke toxic fumes. But we had a code that if I was in trouble, what I could say, and it was Mrs. Robinson. Don't know why. But we had a live band in the studios, and so the music was playing so loudly, Paul didn't hear me for ages. And so once he'd heard me, he got everything out and got me out. And, you know, I did the usual assistance bit out of the top of the box. So just my shoulders and face were showing, smiling. They got the shot. And then they would bring like a curtain in, and I was coughing and spluttering. They had to get first aid people to check my lungs were okay. So that was one thing that happened. What else happened? Oh yeah, so we did a great big thing where a large painting, a life-size painting of me, came to life. and then I would disappear as well at the end, and it was back being a painting. And Paul, it was a Garrett set, and Paul was like a Parisian artist that's painting, and then I come to life and I dance. He falls asleep and I come to life. I dance around him and then go back in it, and he wakes up and he's thinking, was it a dream or not? And so anyway, where I disappeared to, I can give away, was down a trap door in the stage. But being in a studio, they'd cut the trap that morning, and we'd never done it with the trap, you know, because I kind of was so experienced, they could just rely on me to do it. When I jumped down the trap, lifting my feet underneath, so my shins were, you know, underneath my body. They hadn't cut away a great big rusty screw, one of those great big ones.
Oh.
So it stabbed into my shin, right by my shin bone. And I was able to pull myself off it, but lay under the stage while Paul finished the trick. It was such a pro. I'm blowing my head off it.
You are a pro.
But I was in a white but long ballet dress, like a Giselle, if you know Giselle ballet dress. And I laid under the stage, and by the time they'd finished it, my dress was red.
Yeah.
And it was the end of the show, the last thing.
But you know what, also, that's that dancer's bun on the brain. Because I, you know, was trained at the Royal Ballet School before my tits grew. And it was that thing of
keep going.
It doesn't matter how much pain you're in, you just keep going. And it can be severe pain. And you just keep going, and it's insane because normal people don't do that.
I know, we're mad. So anyway, so I got rushed to A&E. But mostly, I mean, we hardly had anything that went wrong. Paul had thought everything through, and he was one of those people. I'm physical. I think probably, Harriet, like you probably are, because of the dance background. We like to do it and feel it, but Paul could think it through in his head, and then his hands would just do what he needed to do.
Wow. If Debbie, were you ever very frightened? And this is not about being nervous. Were you ever frightened about doing something?
Not for me, but I was for Paul.
Yeah.
We did some outside stunts as such, and one where Paul, it was on Lake Windermere, and he was handcuffed on his wrists and ankles and attached to two speedboats, obviously his ankles to one and his wrists to another, and he had to get out of them before the speedboats took off. And Donald Campbell's daughter came to check that they really were real shackles and everything, you know. And I had to, and it was a really rainy, horrible day, so the water was up and down, and I was sitting in the musical director's car on the bank because I wasn't involved. And I was really scared for Paul, and a couple of other things that he did that were stunts, which relied on absolute timing. I got absolutely scared for him. But
never to make me feel nervous just thinking about it.
Awful.
Such an interesting show, hasn't it?
I know. Debbie, what are you doing next? Any plans?
Actually, this year, Dee, I've decided I haven't stopped working since Paul died.
Yes.
So I can afford to be a bit choosy. And so I'm going to have a bit more free time. And I've written a show which I want to develop a bit more of my own show, telling stories like that. And I'd quite like to do a few cruises. So I'm going to see if I can get my talk on a couple of cruise ships. And so
you will
go away for a few days and then come back. And my lovely mum, who'll be 86 in a couple of weeks' time, is doing really well, but I want to spend a bit more time with her. In fact, I've just had her for the weekend. We had some of Paul's family on Saturday for lunch, and so they obviously were here all day. And then my brother and his family were here yesterday, and it was great for mum. So I want to do a bit more of that and see friends a bit more.
Yes, friends a bit more. A bit more. I should hope so.
I know.
Will it be like a one-man show, one-woman show?
Yeah. Yes, with
Brilliant.
And things. And I have written it, and I tried it out actually where Debbie's working at the mill.
Yeah.
Not last year, the year
you?
before. Yeah. And it
Wow.
all worked. But you know what it's like when you put it on paper, it's when you get up and do it, you feel different things.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I need some time to do that, because when I
Yeah.
wrote it was in the pandemic, I had all the time in the world.
Of course.
Thank you so
Anyway,
much.
darling,
done.
well, thank you. Such a fantastic, and I shall speak to you very soon. And I want to come back on that sofa, please. I love it.
Of course.
Oh.
Debbie, I will get
She falls
Debbie,
asleep on it.
Debbie, I will get security for the other Debbie, so you don't have to worry. The sofa is safe. Just leave
Yeah,
it.
do you think it's stalker time? Could be.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mwah.
Mm.
Bye,
Thank you,
darling.
darling.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Lovely to see you.
What joy.
Yes.
Oh, she's
We love her.
lovely.
We love
Always
Debbie.
loved her.
So yes, we as we were saying at the beginning of the show, Natalie and I were even sharing.
We don't need to do that. Too much information.
Honestly, too much information. Yes, absolutely.
We're
Goodness me.
no, but the thing is, isn't it? And she snores a little.
Oh,
That up.
I
That
snore
is
all
so
the time,
unfair.
darling. No, I snore all the time. But
Yeah.
luckily I don't share a bed with anyone ever. So
Would you
except-
say that I snore, Natalie? Do I snore?
Yes, yes, like a garden
There you
gnome.
go.
I'm like this little furry, fluffy animal, snoring
Oh.
on, but you're
are.
like a garden gnome. Sorry.
Harsh.
Don't look
harsh.
like one. And I
Dee,
grind
just
my
before we
teeth.
go, just before we go, darling, can we talk hats?
Yes,
I love it.
thank you. This is kind of a Fortis style,
That bow is heaven.
Isn't it wonderful? Just
Have
love
a
it.
look.
And you can
That's-
dress it up or dress it down, you see. You can take it off and just wear it as a cloth, yes. Or you can put it like that and mix and match with this beautiful blue velvet, which a friend of mine actually gave me as a present.
Dad,
Dee,
I
don't
give
put
it
it
a
off.
whirl, please.
No, please. Dee takes her clothes off far too much, Natalie. We've got to be very careful.
Yes,
That
I do.
looks lovely.
Am I being warned?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
very, very Harry Potterish, I think.
Yeah. I was going to say, Harry what? Yeah. Okay.
Well, we'll see you soon, darling. Next show.
Yes. And
Absolutely.
it's lovely to have you back, Harriet. We've missed your
Really
wit
is.
and beautiful face. She is going, you are tending to go a bit blonder these days. I'm getting worried about this.
I do like the hair, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you, girls. Well, somebody has to keep a little
Yeah.
bit of attention.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.